Everyone, welcome to another segment of Abalandeli Belanga. It's your host Umlandeli Belanga, Umshumayeli Belanga, the one true faithful follower of the Sun, the one guy who has vowed to teach you how to be faithful followers of the Sun. I want to introduce the season of Aquarius. As you can see, the Aquarian man has started pouring out the Aquarian flood that washes the rains of July and August. Now, this in South Africa, you will see kakhulu if you're in the Cape. And some parts here and there in the country, we still get rain around this time, but it's not really observable. Now, our week started with a very grotesque image. We found out that 8 women were raped in the mine dumps in Krugersdorp, which is very unfortunate, and it's strange considering that this thing happens in the eve of Women's Month, in the eve of the month when we celebrate or we venerate chastity, purity. We celebrate the feminine aspect. Ibuhlungu this thing because our sisters have been saying it for a while now that culture in South Africa as a whole, isintu as a whole, has rape elements, or cultural norms foster the rape element. The patriarchal systems, they give room or gray areas where the rape culture and just chauvinism from amadoda goes about unchecked. Now, this is starting to feel like some form of ritual, because if you are listening to the story in the news, when you are hearing the amount of men that got caught up in this act, the number is alarming. So it does kind of feel like a ritual of sorts, done at the time when we are supposed to be engabe siteketisa ubumama, or siteketisa that aspect of bounty, which we are hoping that in the month of Mandulu sizokwazi ukundululisa that which we are going to commit to the ground njengoba ku August njena. It's quite unfortunate. Now, what are we going to do with this situation? Our women bayasitshela that statistically South African men niyasirape, nithatha ngenkani, in our homes niyas-abuse, masishadile anibuye emakhaya. If you are emakhaya, you are just not giving 100%. What are we going to do with this situation? Because it's quite old. I mean, when this story broke, I was actually busy putting together my lesson around Umkhosi Wohlanga in the month of August. And I found myself now looking at the story where the background story to Umkhosi Wohlanga, as beautiful as it is, E.T., these are just some of the rape elements now that pervade our cultural norms and what we call customs and tradition. The story says that the young maidens, they return home esigodlweni from a trip of belande inkuni, babuye beinkuni bengaziphethe, bephethe uhlanga. Mabebuzwa, why is this? The story says they actually come back singing very triumphantly, bethi ene, we kept our virginity. Sibuye nohlanga, because on our way back, coming from ukutheza inkuni zilahlekile ngoba we came across young men who were trying to take or steal our virginity. That's rapey, guys. No matter how we can window dress it, that is rapey. If we take these stories as literal accounts, this is why we find even in the allegories of the Bible, we find that time and time again, the patriarchal background or the patriarchal narrative that gives the background to these stories, it's just rapey. Even with stories, the story Mary, she gets pregnant while a virgin. We know these stories in our communities. Umntwana ejaldini usekhulelwe, no one wants to say. But yaziwa ukuthi ubani othanda ukwenza izinto kanje, but no one wants to say. In the places where ingane zethu, our late teens and tertiary levels. There are places in Malokishin, we know this, where if you go there, ibhokolo lendawo might just decide wena ngihamba now, and there's nothing that you can do about it. And should someone stand up to him, they might end up dead. Kudala abantu besifazane beyisho lento leyo ukuthi men cannot police or control other men because even singamadoda siyasabana ngokwethu singamadoda. That's how dire it is. That's how dire it is. It's important that abantu besifazane, this thing is so bad that actually abantu besifazane kumele, you have to arm yourselves. It is no longer safe that umuntu besifazane in this day and age, if it was a puma before sunrise or if you are puma after sunset, you need to have, or even during the day, normal daylight hours, you need to have something on you, some form of protection. Ladies, you need to start thinking about self-defense lessons, gun shooting lessons, gun ownership. So we need to start encouraging such things in Majalitini aid. So I remember when I went out and got a firearm for my wife, my friends were like, but what if, and I was like, but I am not here half the time. Half the time, should anything happen, where am I? Now, how does she protect herself? And so I went ahead and I did it. So that is the way. And now this brought me the issue of arming yourself, not an issue, but the way forward of making sure women are arming themselves. In the stories, again, the backdrop, we are told that when the entourage of the maidens behamba to the place where they actually harvest these reeds, there's a certain knife or an axe of sorts, I can't remember the name is Zulu, that they use to cut the first reed or uhlanga lolo, which brought me again to the lesson there that actually ngesintu, even back then, you see, there's this belief that this thing that we are faced with, into eqale manje, the rape culture within Abrahamic traditions, it's just prevalent iningi, and it's not into eqale manje. Abantu besifazane back in the day, they would have some form of weapon or umkhonto. Even manje, Tina, we only use it for display, masoke shada, but loya mkhonto kankosikazi, the one she uses to point esibayeni athi akhombe inkomo ekuzomele ihlinzwe because usesejaldini, that is a weapon, guys. We need, again, systems or secret societies for abantu besifazane where they will be taught how to protect themselves at places where they are most vulnerable. This is what we need. And me saying this, I'm not trying to take away the responsibility of amadoda. I would say amadoda should not do anything. But guys, the stats are alarming. If abantu besifazane don't wake up and start actually doing something about this, sizogcina nenkaba ebolile, if I can put it like that, because eventually this wave of brutality over abantu besifazane, it is something that is going to be registered, of which most of it is. It's going to register across our collective. And we don't want that, because we're at a time when that principle with Jehovah bubele, because esinikezwe yena in the flesh, umandisa, the one who makes plenty, uJehovah bubele, it is the feminine form. And so yes, I will leave it at that without getting too long about that one. But yes, that's my 2 cents on the matter. And okay, so now into the lesson we go. Now it is held by some scholars that we have actually entered. We're getting into Aquarius now. Now some scholars are of the opinion that we have entered the age of Aquarius, and there are others who hold that we are still actually approaching it. We are at the morning of the Aquarian age. Or yes, we're at the morning of the Aquarian age, or we are exiting Pisces, or we are at the sunset or the midnight hour of Pisces. But I understand a lot of us, this jargon still does not make a lot of sense. So let me give a bit of background. Now, astrology and astronomy, these now are measured effects, things that are measured through time. It takes the sun roughly 2,000 years to transit a sign. 2,000 years roughly. In the Bible allegory now, this time period or cycle is hidden in the prophecy found in the book of Revelation. Unto 1,260 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. This is a play on the number 2,160 years, a more exact figure as to how long it takes the sun to transit a sign. Transiting a sign, moving through the age of Pisces or moving through the age of Aquarius. Now, the amount of time it takes the sun to traverse 30 degrees of a sign is 2,160 years. This is how they calculate it. This is how they calculate it. The sun traverses 1 degree every 72 years. This is something observable. 1 degree every 72 years. Remember the 70-week prophecy in the Bible? 70. They will never give us the exact numbers. It is always either here nor there. So that use the Litsentando calculator, trying to calculate the return of the Christ, trying to calculate this and that. You end up running around your tails. In these traditions, the number to these cycles is never given an actual number to the T, because these numbers are based on a system that is teaching the higher principles of the science. So, yes, so we have 72 years multiplied by 30 degrees, which gives us 2,160 years. That is how they get to that figure, and that is the amount of time it takes the sun to travel through a sign. In the Bible now, this number it's scrambled. It's 1,260 days until the Aquarian man cleanses the temple. Aquarius is the beginning of that cleanse. The time when the old system or the old ways are washed away. The time when that which was in hiding, or that which was held as a secret or sacred, sacred, that's the same word. The time when it is laid bare. Look at what is happening to our religions. Look at how much esoteric material is now flooding the internet, or all these circles where abantu gather for transcendental knowledge. The old system is being put away. The belief in a historic individual of Christ the Messiah, it's been proven to be nothing more than a fable which repeats itself every now and again. Actually, some scholars, they actually say that we are due for another savior. It's time, because every 2,000 years or so, they keep repeating the cycle, repeating the teaching, so that it harmonizes with that time. The Aquarian man motif is a man pouring out water from an urn into the mouth of the fish Pisces. In our yearly planetary revolutions now, the sun passes through Aquarius once every solar year, which makes this, if we are in the age of Aquarius, it makes this a time of double influence or double portion of the Aquarian vibration. This energy signature now for us in the southern hemisphere is from the 21st of July to the 20th of August, if you're in the south. Now, if you're in the northern hemisphere, it's the 21st of January to the 20th of February. We are the pole opposites, because we're in the southern hemisphere. When the north goes up, we go down. When we go up, the north goes down. Now, in the southern hemisphere, South Africa, specifically among AmaZulu and AmaSwati, I think Nabesotho, they also carry this out. We will be hosting the annual Reed Dance, the commemoration of purity, which will take place late August, heading into the first week of September. Now, I'm going to harmonize this ceremony with nature, and I'm also going to assimilate it to how the world observes it, and then I'm going to give the meaning behind it, and then I'm going to give the hidden or the metaphysical aspect of the meaning. how now we get to not the cosmological, the cosmogony of what this actually means. I will begin with Christianity, then I will work my way back into Isintu using the great unifier of all races, and that is the sun. The sun's ecliptic. There is not a place in the world where the language of the sun is not spoken. There is not a place in the world. You can go anywhere in the world. You will find the language of the sun, which is communicated through feast days and holy convocations or observances, describing or passing down from generation to generation what the sun is doing and how we should observe what the sun is doing, and how that observance has now been translated into the works of metaphysics, and finally the physics, the science of the day. You see, now, for us in the southern hemisphere, Umvelinqangi, our son and Lord and Savior, was reborn on the 25th of July last month. We know this. In the midnight hour, Umvelinqangi was reborn, and then on the 4th of July, 8 days after the rebirth of the sun, we commemorated the start of the civil year. I understand now, there's a lot of us who are still missing this, because actually, South Africans right now, they don't learn anything to truly learn it. They learn something so that they can go around parroting it. You will say to a person, the civil year starts on the 4th of July. Umuntu zothi, it starts in September. And I'm saying, the civil year starts in July, because we do not understand that each and every culture has two start points for the year. There is the start point for the civil year. Then there is the start point for the spiritual year. The spiritual year begins in Aries in spring in September, but the civil year begins a month after the sun is reborn, and I'm going to get into why we do this. Now, I said on the 4th of July, 8 days after the rebirth of the sun. This is where, by the way, in that week, that is where we've also placed the Durban July, the glitz and pomp, the extravagance. That is because it is a commemoration of the start of the new year. What is the sun doing around this time? What is the sun doing? Because, like I said, it is the sun language. The 4th of July marks the day when sunrise starts becoming earlier and sunset starts becoming later. This is observable. This is what marks the start of the civil year, the labor year. Here in the south, Islimela masqhamuka in Taurus in the morning. We understand that we need to start our civil year. We get our plows ready. That is why Abesuthu, they start their year in August, because that is when we get our hoes ready and we prepare to put the seed into the ground, which we will have the first harvest of that seed at the solstice or umkhosi wokweshwama. It's observable from the 4th of July. You can measure it. You'll be able to see that from that point on, sunset is later and sunrise becomes earlier. It is something that is observable. You don't have to argue, hey, September, hey, Mandulo. No, it is something that is observable. Sun language. This is what marks now the start of the civil year, the 4th of July. The polar opposite of this is New Year's Day, the 1st of January. We are the opposite. We are doing the opposite. Now, what is being observed here, I've just told you. Now, how do we keep? That is what the sun is doing. How do we keep it? I'm going to go from its most primitive form to in organized religions now. The primitive ritual observed around this point is the lighting of fires. That's what we do. We light fires in support of the newborn sun. Masiqinisa umalangeni mayevela umvelinqangi, we light fires. Because umalangeni, we support him because in the months of spring and summer, he will bring the warmth that comes with plenty. Now, when this ritual is formalized, or the formalization of this ritual in organized religion is called Candlemas. Candlemas. It's the same thing. You don't have to call this one barbaric or demonic and this one holy. It's exactly the same thing. And those who are in the know, bavalela, and they just keep to their things. They rise with umalangeni, behle naye. Busy on the side, bona they just keep to their stuff. Balandela umalangi. Behla naye, bavuka naye. Here are they that follow the Lamb wherever it goes. On the 24th of July, exactly 29 days after the rebirth of the sun in June, ibandla lama-Nazareta, like I said, those who are in the know, ibandla lama-Nazareta observed their annual Candlemas. Indala lento lena, and there's many ways of keeping it. This is the ancient church festival celebrated annually on the 2nd of February if you are in the northern hemisphere. If you're in the north, 2nd of Feb, that is where you placed it, or that is where you place it. The day is called the commemoration of the presentation of Christ in the temple. Senzani siqinisa the newborn son. By what? By supporting him through candles, light, the lighting of fires. One of the names, the presentation of Christ in the temple. In the Greek church, it is known as the meeting of the Lord. In the West, it's called the purification of the Blessed Virgin. This is where now we get inclined to, because the flip of February is August. That's the flip side. The flip side of February is August, which we have placed Women's Month in South Africa. The entire August is dedicated to women. The Women's March to the Union Buildings in 1956, it happened on the 9th of August. That is what is so creepy about this incident that took place at the mine dumps in Krugersdorp, because it happened at the time la kumele ngabe siteketisa that aspect. And manje sidlwenguliwe, yaphuqa yathathwa ngenkani. Umkhosi wohlanga takes place in August. That entire time belongs to the feminine aspect. That's what it's called. This is the time when, in formalized religion now, this is what it is called the purification of the Blessed Virgin, or ukungcweliswa kwanomkhubulwane. Niyangizwa ubini? Nizwile? Ukungcweliswa kukanomkhubulwane. Isis, usisi, awusi, or Set. Niyangizwa? This takes place in Feb, if you are in the north, and in August, if you are in the south. Someone knows busy. Happy Women's Month. Understand what you are actually talking about. Have the framework so that you understand when someone says to you, what do you mean by Women's Month? So that you will be able to explain and understand that we are here in the year. This is the direction that we are headed. At this time of the year, we venerate the attributes of the feminine. That is what we do. That is what this speaks to. Ubungcweliswa, purity. It speaks to the cleansing, like I mentioned, the flood, water, the time for purging, or the time for preparation. We purge ourselves, not just ourselves, our minds as well, and also our homes. We cleanse our homes. Remember, July and August is full of dust. So as these rains are coming, it's actually raining right now. As these rains are coming, we cleanse our homes so that we, in preparation to enter the land of promise. and that is spring. That's spring. Now, to go back to the north again in the north, I will always go back to the north because when we were uprooted from our culture, Kwenziwa sure that we memorize the observations of the north. And so for me to help you understand, I know there's this dimwit, why are you using the north? It is because that is the society we grew up in, dimwit. I know every time I do these lectures, there is an idiot who's going, we were colonized by the people of the Northern Hemisphere. That is why our observances, that is why our belief systems, our thinking and everything else is based there. So for me to unlock los cimento gwelikanda, kumele ngiqale from the north and then bring it back to the south. Now in the north, February marks the commencement of Lent, the fasting period of 40 days. If you are a Muslim in the southern hemisphere, I'm jumping the gun there. The fast days it starts in Feb. The Jews call this the removal of all leaven from the household. Like I just said, it is the time where you cleanse, you purge the house, because from February you are going into March. You are entering the promised land. Now we flip the script again. In the south, this is mid-August going into September. If you are a Muslim living in the southern hemisphere, this is where you place Ramadan, or the Feast of the Ram, the fasting, because we fast, we cleanse, we remove all leaven from our systems before we enter the land of promise, before we enter the land that was promised to our ancestors by God. This time it also pertains to cleansing our psyche as well, like I just said, so that we may enter the land flowing with milk and honey with clean vessels that can partake of the produce of spring and summer. Before you enter the time when there is plenty, we take in, you first get rid of all the gunk that is in your system. You get rid of all the gunk that is in your system so that your body enters that time ready to partake of the nutrients of that time. A lot of us, we get into spring and summer still holding on to all that gunk. That is why you will find abantu, by the time the sun is hitting the summer solstice, bayagula. Tholeke manje sebekhipha inyongo, sebenza ini, things they should have done when they were approaching the time of plenty. You can't be in the time of plenty and we are cleansing. You are going against the very principles that run your system. Then we wonder why we are always so sick. Richard Allen, in his book Star Names and Their Meanings, has this to say about the Aquarian man. Quote, "The New Testament Christians of the 16th and the 17th centuries likened it appropriately enough to John the Baptist." Close quote. Which is quite fitting because as far as the name John is concerned, because it is a play on the word Janus, Juno, which is transliterated into John. These stories are telling exactly the same thing. We don't have to fight, have long discords. Jesus was black. We all keep these observations. You just need to find how your cultural background assimilates or parallels that of modernity. Then you're good. Then you're good. John the Baptist is the Aquarian man pouring out water into the mouth of the northern fish, Fomalhaut. Between these two emblems, Aquarius and the Pisces, this is the gospel of the New Testament. The entire New Testament is written between these two emblems. John the waterman baptizes Jesus. Jesus in turn feeds the multitude fish. Jesus took out a coin from the mouth of a fish. Jesus walks on water. Jesus commands the air, the winds, and the water. Peace be still. Jesus turns water into wine. The entire gospel is between these two sides. Somebody say amen. Come on now. It's all there. The symbol of Aquarius is a water sign. In the alphabet, we are looking at the letter M, which takes us now to the story of Moshe or Moses, meaning drawn from the water. Moses, whom the legend said was hidden in the reeds. Ngesintu, masuke sihalalisela umkhosi wohlanga is because we believe that Bantu cosmology says that umuntu emerged from the reeds. Uhlanga lezizwe, we call our king inkosi yohlanga. It is all interconnected. There is no need to hey, we are not in that time now. Do not resist the Aquarian flood, because the Aquarian flood is removing all the dross, all the beliefs that we can liken to dross, the heavy base metals. The Aquarian flood is removing all this. Another archetype which belongs here is the story of Naaman, whom Mercury, or aka Elijah, says to him, "Go dip yourself 7 times in the Jordan." 7 times. Now, esoterically, when these scriptures now, masesikhuluma ngomfula, the river Jordan, the Hapi or the Crocodile River in Egypt, or the reed pillar or the jed pillar of Asar, or uhlanga that our sisters carry, or the tree of life, or the story of Jacob wrestling with an angel, seeing their stairway to heaven. It all means the same thing. It is talking about the sun's journey. It is all talking about the sun's journey from the lowest point after rebirth in the winter solstice to its highest point of travel in the summer solstice. When ngesintu we welcome our king who had gone into hiding. Ngesiswati, the minute the Gemini brothers appear around October, going into November, the king goes into seclusion. Aqhamuka as the triumphant conquering king, coming back to bless Inwala. This is what the story is talking about. This story also has significance when we get into now cosmogony and we get into the metaphysics that gives the framework for the physics and the science that we are using in modernity. We are all speaking the same thing. We are all speaking the same thing using different frequencies. That is why we cannot understand each other, but the blueprint is one and the same. It's one and the same. Now, to get into astrology and astronomy before I wrap it up, the seven count now. If we are in Aquarius. If we count 7 times from Aquarius, we end up in Leo. The house after the sun was in its highest position. At this point, the sun is in its hottest position. The sun in its strength, in its heat. At this point, that is where now in the southern hemisphere we have Untlolanja. When the dogs now, they start sniffing each other, and that is where, as the siren hound is rising in our night skies, that is what the hounds are doing. That is what the dogs are doing. That is where that 7 count actually takes us to. In the enactment of Umkhosi Wohlanga, again, the maidens are instructed to speak to their reeds, plead with it, pray with it. Pray for uprightness and the tenacity to remain upright like Uhlanga, the jet pillar of Asar, through any situation. Like the situation the Virgin Mary finds herself in, pregnant yet still a virgin. Pregnant yet still a virgin. And here is that rape culture element within the schools of Abrahamic thought. Here it is again. But now when we come to scripture, please remember that scripture, literal interpretation, that is the lowest form of interpretation. There's the other three. Now, I do not take the time to separate these higher three because I just speak about them. I flow about them as one thing. I build the story as one thing, but literal interpretation is the lowest. And it should be considered as well because there's a lot of issues, societal issues that can be addressed. Like this one, abantwana that are falling pregnant because of abomalume, stepfathers, or whatever in the community. These can be used as points to address certain things, but they should not be used as points now to rubbish the stories because, like I said, they are allegories that are meant to teach us certain things. Now, to get into the deeper, the cosmogony and the metaphysical principle that is being told here, the esoteric school now. The Virgin Mary, ubuntombi, is symbolized as purity, or symbolizes rather purity. In the world around us, it symbolizes the pure fluid, the pure etheric fluid. In the world of matter, we are talking about the pure air. A little bit deeper now in the world of matter, we're talking about the inert gases, the pure seas or the noble gases. And it is from those noble gases or from that pure etheric fluid emerges white light, which we have coined as Candlemas Day, the lighting of fires. This is the let there be light moment or the let there be Ra moment. But not incandescence. We are at candescence here. We are still underground. We are still at the seed. We are still at the seed before it shoots. The shoots, the seed sprouting from underground. That is the let there be light moment. In the zodiac wheel now, we are still underground. The invisible world, the world between Capricorn and Aries, or the world between midnight at Capricorn and Aries at sunrise. Sunrise is the root shooting out from beneath the ground. That is the sunrise. That is when that is now the world of senses, the phenomenal world. But where we are here, we are still dealing with pre-manifestation of spirit, or the journey of spirit from invisible into visible. The invisible is the midnight hour, or from the midnight hour coming down. The visible is sunrise, the period of Capricorn to Aries that I just said. This again gives us the two worlds. The world of being, the invisible, and the world of non-being, the visible. Or the world of rest and the world of motion, non-being. Because motion, being, or is non-being because motion can never be rest. Where is life? Life is in the rest. This is where also we get the premise of the two dimensions. There are not many dimensions. This thing, these woke folk who are telling you about that we in this dimension, we in the third dimension, then the aliens are in the fourth and the fifth. Those are all descriptions within the same thing. There's only two dimensions. And to actually appreciate what I'm trying to say is you need to get very technical with this knowledge. There's only two. There is the world beyond the senses and then there's the world of the senses. Now, all these descriptions of all these dimensions that is being put together by this wokeist movement, it is still within the world of the phenomenal. It's just that some of these spaces now are beyond our senses. It is not a different place. It is just something that is here and now, all around you, happening around you, but our senses are only limited to what we can perceive using the 5 senses. I know there's a lot of us who are spending so much time siphuza izinto, siyameditate, kuyacleanswa, kuyafundwa, kuyaphalaza, kuyaphuthelwa, aligning the chakra so that you can have access to all these other dimensions. You are human. We are limited to these 5 senses because we are here. We are of this world. We are of this world. You will use those senses once you get into those worlds. Not unless, of course, you have been called to work with spirit or to harmonize the imbalance that happens between these states of awareness. But that is what it means. I've just given this to you now from the observable effects, what the sun is doing, how we keep it as human beings, and what this means in the world of physics. We are still before sunrise. That is why I say do not listen to these buffoons who tell you that the day starts at sunrise. When the day starts at sunrise, the pre-manifestation of spirit has already been working. That is why sunrise can never be our one. Because sunrise is to our senses, to our world of senses. When a seed is underground, we are not aware of it. It is that world which is beyond our senses. That is the analogy that I can give to you. That is the introduction of the Aquarian man. Please look out for, I'm probably going to do 2 or 3 more while we are in this season. And yes, thank you for listening. Ungalana umlandeli welanga, umshumayeli welanga, the one who has vowed to teach you how to be faithful followers of the sun so that you can be able to take your spirituality and find a container for that spirit or for that air, ground it in a container of religion and be comfortable. Whether the container is Christianity, whether the container is Isidlozi, or whether the container is Islam, or whether that container is atheism. Be comfortable because you understand what these symbols that are being used mean.